Hi book lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking all about some pining heroes, some of my all-time favorite pining heroes and my favorite romances, as well as some newer ones that I've recently discovered and loved. It's been a hot minute since I last put up a recommendations video, but I'm not gonna lie, this was partly inspired by Hazelwood and her newest release, and also the latest books that I've been reading all had some sort of pining hero, so it was like the universe was telling me, I gotta do this video. This is a list of pining heroes, and it's also a list of heroes who embody like the it's always been you, you've always been the one for me, you being the heroine of course. So here's my list of some of my favorite romances with a hero who pines for the heroine, who knows that the heroine is it for him, who has wanted her for a long time. He's either waiting for her, biding his time, or working his way into having her be his. I am a total sucker for this kind of hero. I love like the different kinds of pining heroes, which you'll see in my list. You have the really sweet one, probably friends to lovers, he's wanted her, he's had a crush on her for years, to the dark, obsessive alpha male who's wanted the heroine since the moment that he laid eyes on her. So let's just get started. This first one, of course, I have to start off with the author who inspired this video for me. It is Hazelwood and her newest release, Love on the Brain. Hazelwood is the author who took the term pining hero and just made it her own. She is so good at writing them. I mean, she's only had 2 of them, but they are perfection. Like Levi from Love on the Brain and Adam from The Love Hypothesis, they have wanted these heroines of theirs for the longest time. It took them years to finally like get up the courage to tell them. The thing about Levi though is that he is quite the shy boy, and his pining for Bee makes it so that she thinks that he hates her because he avoids her, he just doesn't really talk to her. He just has the biggest crush and he doesn't know what to do with it. Technically, this is sort of enemies to lovers just because Bee, the heroine, thinks that Levi hates her, so she hates him in return, and now they're forced to work together at NASA for this project. She is a neuroscientist and he's an engineer, so it's very STEM-y, very sciencey and nerdy, and these two are just so wonderful together. And then there's also another layer to this longing that you figure out a little bit later in the book. It's online Twitter related, I'll keep it vague, but I freaking love that part of the book too. So yeah, this book is probably the book with the piniest pining hero that I've read so far this year. I mean, you can just smell that pine tree scent coming off of this book. You just can't go wrong with Hazelwood if you want a pining hero who just completely adores the heroine but shows it in a very not so loving way. Friends to lovers is one of my favorite tropes, and this is because this trope is just ripe with the possibility of a pining hero. I love when I come across a pining hero when it comes to friends to lovers, mainly because it seems like most of the time it's the other way around, so when it's changed, it's great. And one of my favorites with a hero who has known that the heroine was it for him since they were children is Love in Other Words by Christina. This book wrecked me in the best of ways. It is so angsty and emotional. Macy and Elliot, they kind of grew up together, they were childhood friends, they would hang out every summer, and they slowly transitioned from friends to lovers during their childhood and during these summers, which were so wonderful for them until something tragic happens and they're broken apart and they don't see each other for a decade. They reunite at this coffee shop when they're adults, and Elliot literally chases after Macy when he sees her, and when they're together, that connection between them, it's like they were never apart for a decade because it's still going so strong. Elliot then literally breaks up with his girlfriend the day after that they reunite, and oh my gosh, when you find out like the reason why Elliot is in San Francisco, which is where they live now, how he's been waiting for the off chance that Macy would return to the city so that they could get their second chance that he's been waiting for, oh my gosh, that absolutely killed me. Honestly, the friends to lovers aspect was perfect. It almost felt like a coming of age for the both of them anytime the chapters would be set in the past. And then the second chance romance was also perfect because we have a hero who's just so determined to win the heroine's heart again, because you just know Elliot has waited all these years for Macy to enter his life again. So this book will fuck you up but in the best way. And then I have a fantasy romance next by a very underrated author. I'm trying not to have every book be a popular book, but I'm not gonna lie, I do have quite a few popular books in this list because I love them and I have to include them. This one is Beast in Shining Armor by Cassandra Gannon. This is a fantasy romance with a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's technically the second book in a series, but I read this one first and it was totally fine. So in this world, there are bad beings and good beings, and the bad beings, they know who their fated mate is as soon as they see them, whereas the good beings, they have to have sex with their fated mate in order to realize who they are. The hero Avenant, he is born bad, even though his parents, the king and queen of their kingdom, they were good, but he's bad with a capital B, which is why people consider him monstrous, so he is our beastly hero. The heroine Belle, of course her name's Belle, she is a good, capital G, a good being, and these two have actually known each other since kindergarten, which means that Avenant has known that Belle is his fated mate since they were in kindergarten. So this man has been wanting her for years and years now. He was that dumb kid who would pick on her because that was the only way that she would give him any sort of attention, but as they grew up, he sort of became her protector, but she still hated him because of how he treated her. And they've both played out this rivals relationship all while he's been longing and pining for her. Now as adults, things are a little bit more interesting because Belle has literally stolen Avenant's throne from him, and now there's this whole competition where everyone can compete to win the crown. I love Cassandra Gannon. I think her books are so freaking hilarious. Like, whatever the fantasy version of a rom-com is, her books are that. These characters are hilarious, and the way that Avenant just needs Belle so much is amazing. I just really want more people to read Cassandra Gannon because she is fantastic. I mean, she doesn't really write as much anymore, but she does have some gems, and this is one of my favorites. And then next, I have a historical romance with one of the piningest heroes that I've ever read, which is Michael from When He Was Wicked by Julia Quinn. This is book 6 in the Bridgerton series. It's not my top favorite, but I love Michael in this book so much. Poor Michael in this book is just so completely tortured because he's in love with his brother's wife, and his brother has just passed away. He's actually loved Francesca since they first met, but he's wanted her for years. He's been an amazing friend to them for so long until his brother's unfortunate death. Francesca is of course devastated, and she doesn't really know how she can move on from her husband. But then there's Michael, who's always there for her, who is so freaking wonderful and sweet to her. This man gets put through the ringer. I felt so bad for him, but his devotion to Francesca is next level. He's one of my favorite heroes in the series, and I also highly recommend that you read the second epilogue after you finish When He Was Wicked, because that second epilogue was so beautiful. It was all about Michael's love and complete adoration for Francesca. It was so sweet, and you're just so happy when you finally get to see Michael be with the woman that he's loved for so long. Like, when I think of a historical romance with a longing hero, Michael is one of the first that pops into my mind. Another recommendation that I have is one of my all-time favorites, which is The Maddest Obsession by Danielle, and I mean, you can tell by this title that we have an obsessed hero. Christian is the love of my life. This man has wanted Gianna for about 7 years, I think. They met each other years ago on the night before her wedding to this mafia guy who kind of sucked. They've been in and out of each other's lives since then, but Christian has very much been keeping an eye on this woman that he cannot stop thinking about. You can just feel how he lives and breathes Gianna. I mean, he literally kills a guy because he did some offhand thing to Gianna, but he's still that super cold asshole that you can't help but love. So I love this man. This is one of my favorite dark romances of all time. Christian just knows Gianna is it for him, and he's been biding his time until he can finally have her. Gianna was born and raised in this mafia life. She grew up knowing that she would have to marry another mafia leader, and she plays off being this really flighty, girly girl. Christian is the only one who sees through that and sees her for who she really is. He's an FBI agent, but also like kind of dabbles in mafia too. He is ruthless and cold, doesn't bat an eyelash when he has to kill someone. So he just does whatever he wants, and he wants Gianna, so he's gonna have her, even if it takes him 7 years to get her. For my next recommendation, I had to include this one even though I can't really talk about it without spoiling like so much of the series. It's literally book 12 in a series. So it takes a while to get there, but it is literally the best one and so worth a wait. It's Heart of Obsidian by Nalini Singh. This is one of my all-time favorite paranormal romances, one of my all-time favorite books ever, even though I can't really talk about this book or say who the main characters are because it's a huge spoiler. Trust me when I say this hero has been pining, he's been waiting, he's been trying to find his missing heroine for years since they first met and fell in love as kids. If you know this level of obsession and devotion that he has had for her for basically his whole life. So it's a paranormal romance and he would literally destroy the world for her. She is literally the only one keeping him sane. She's the only reason why he hasn't like destroyed the entire world. But like I said, it is book 12 in the Sight Changeling series, which I love. I highly recommend you read the series if you haven't yet and if you love paranormal romances. So I try to choose just one book from Lisa Kleypas to include in this list, but since it's me and I am the biggest Lisa Kleypas fangirl, I ended up choosing 3. She has quite a few pining heroes in her books. I mean, there is a reason why I love her so much. The top one though, with the most pining hero of all of the books that I've read from her so far, is definitely from, again, The Magic. This book wrecked me. I mean, there's probably a pattern that you're seeing here, but yeah, this book was angsty. It is so emotional. I almost cried towards the end because there's such a heartbreaking scene there, but McKenna has my heart. So this one is an interesting one when it comes to pining because I consider it more like angry pining. It's a second chance historical romance between two people who are from very different classes. Aileen is from the upper class, she's a lady, and McKenna unfortunately works as like a stable boy for Aileen's family. So they're from 2 different worlds, but they fall in love with each other when they're young. Unfortunately though, Aileen's father finds out about them and forces Aileen to make him leave. So she breaks McKenna's heart, forcing him to leave the country, to go all the way to America and build a new life for himself, and now he's come back a very wealthy man. And he is very angry at her for breaking his heart, and now he wants this revenge against her, but you know how much he still wants her. He's still pining for her, but he's really angry about it. There's so much good emotional turmoil here. I love this book so much. It's hands down the most angsty book that I've read from Lisa Kleypas so far, and it's definitely mostly because of McKenna and just how much he still wants Aileen, how much he's longed for her even after all these years. My other 2 Lisa Kleypas recommendations, these are pretty good follow-ups if you want some more pining heroes. This one is Seduce Me at Sunrise, and it's book 2 in her Hathaway series. It's got another romance where the main characters are from 2 different classes and they also grew up together when the heroine's family took in the hero when he was a young boy. So Kevin Wynn, they grew up together, they both want each other, but their romance is very forbidden. And then Kev is of course tortured over Wynn because he feels like he's not good enough for her. He wants her, he loves her, but he just thinks that he has nothing to offer her. So he pines from her from afar until he can't really stop himself from being with her. And then Matthew from Scandal in Spring is also another pining hero. He's a little bit more subtle about it compared to the other 2 characters. He's wanted Daisy for a very long time, since the moment that he started working for her father, but Daisy always thought that he was kind of a robot. He was ruthless and only cared about business like her father. So she's always stayed away from him because she's had dreams of, you know, having this epic romance and epic love. And then it turns out Michael is not a robot. He is actually very passionate, especially when it comes to Daisy. He's wanted her for a very long time and he's known that she was it for him. I mean, it's probably obvious by now, but I just love heroes who know that the heroine is the one for him. This next one is actually one of my most recent reads, although a couple of my recent reads have all had pining heroes, which was great for me. Love that for me. But this is Guarding Temptation by Talia Hibbert. It is a novella. It's a very steamy novella. It's got the brother's best friend trope, and we do have some mutual pining here. James is Nina's brother's best friend, though I do love that James and Nina are actually best friends as well. They sort of became that when Nina turned into an adult and her brother moved away to join the military, and James was asked to take care of Nina, and this genuine friendship grew between them. So they are best friends and they do want each other and they've wanted each other for a long time. James keeps having sex dreams about Nina. That's how much he's wanted her, how much he's longed for her. And now they're forced into some closer proximity when Nina is in danger and she's getting death threats from online harassers. So she moves in with James and this is when sparks are flying between them, but he keeps pushing himself away, torturing himself even more than he already has been, just because of this weird sense of duty over her. But it was hot, it was great. I loved how much these two just wanted each other desperately. Even though it's a short book, you can just feel how these two, it's been a long time coming for these two to finally get together. And then I have two Kristen and Becca Ritchie books because I couldn't really decide between them. Although I will admit these two fall more in line with the "It's Always Been You" part of this video rather than like a super pining hero. But hey, Lo has always wanted Lily since they were kids. They're best friends and he just knew that she was the one for him and he's basically been waiting for her to choose him. They are quite the messy characters though. She's addicted to sex and he's addicted to alcohol and they've been faking a relationship to the rest of their friends, their family, in order to keep their secrets. But I love them. I love this couple just because they are the OG in the Addicted series. But yeah, Lo has wanted his best friend for the longest time. And then Connor Cobalt, another love of my life. Connor and Rose have known each other since their school days and he has definitely wanted her since then. It's very much a rivals to lovers kind of romance. These two went head to head constantly during school and Rose is literally the only one who's been able to hold Connor's interest and to match him. So Connor is another hero who has wanted his heroine for a very long time. Another forbidden romance with a pining hero is Sin and Ink by Naima Simone. This was a hot book and it's forbidden because it's another he's in love with his brother's wife kind of romance. So it's like When He Was Wicked but just contemporary and also with a fighter hero. As soon as Knox met Eden, as soon as he saw her actually, like he saw her from across the room, he knew she was it for him. It was very much love at first sight, but then Knox's brother got to her first. There's just so much good angst and pining because Knox had to step aside. He couldn't tell anyone that he wanted Eden because his brother wanted her and ended up marrying her. Now though, the brother unfortunately passes away and Knox still 100% still wants Eden, but things are still very forbidden between them, at least until they aren't, and they do fall into bed together and it is so crazy hot. I just love the tortured longing, the tortured pining in this book. So if you're looking for a good forbidden romance with a pining hero, I highly recommend this one. These next two are recent reads and they're also recent releases, like they just came out. This one is Booked on a Feeling by JC Lee. This one is so freaking adorable. I'm a little sad that there aren't better reviews on Goodreads, but I really enjoyed the audiobook. It's a friends to lovers romance and the hero has had a crush on the heroine since forever. Lizzie and Jack grew up in the small town together. She went off to be this big shot lawyer, but they've kept in contact throughout the years. They are still really good friends and Lizzie now wants to go back to their hometown because she's been really stressed with work. She kind of decides to fix up this local bookstore of theirs and he does help her with it, all the while longing for her and she has no freaking idea. Jack is just a little bit too scared to risk their friendship for something more, which is why he's been pining this whole time. It was just so sweet and wholesome. It is not steamy though. I will just give you a heads up on that. But if you're looking for a precious friends to lovers romance where the hero has been pining for the heroine since they were kids, where he is still pining for her even years later, definitely try this one out. And the other new release that I read is Nikki the Driver by Kate C. Wells. This is a mafia romance from her, the second book in her mafia romance series, and it was so good because of this obsessed hero. Nikki and Zita have known each other since they were kids. They went to school together and he was obsessed from the start, but Zita wasn't very appreciative of him following her around all the time. So he still stalked her, but just out of her sight. Everything Nikki has done since they were kids, him becoming a stone cold killer, being involved in the mafia world, everything has been for Zita. She has no idea, of course, but he just lives and breathes for her. And now Zita is kind of blackmailed into marrying Nikki because of his boss. So everything Nikki has done has led up to this moment where he gets to marry the girl of his dreams, the girl that he's been pining over since he was a kid. His devotion and his love are just on a completely different level. On a side note though, if you are going to Nikki the Driver, Zeta does have an intense eating disorder, so just keep an eye out on triggers for like counting calories, exercising excessively, and binge eating. For my next book, can I even have a list of pining heroes without Aaron Blackford? No. So obviously I have to include The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is a slow burn, enemies to lovers romance, office romance with fake dating, so all the good tropes. And this is the kind of romance where you slowly come to realize the depth of the hero's love for the heroine and how long he's been wanting her, because Lena and Aaron hate each other at work, or at least it seems like they do. They get on each other's nerves, and somehow they end up having to pretend to be dating for Lena's sister's wedding in Spain. And Lena is just very oblivious when it comes to Aaron. She has no idea that he actually wants her. She thinks everything is still fake between them, even though Aaron is trying to show her and prove to her that he's wanted her for a while. There's a reason why Aaron offered to be her fake date to her sister's wedding, right? So this is such a good slow burn romance, or at least slow burn on the heroine side when it comes to her affections for the hero, because you can clearly tell, even though Lena can't, how much Aaron wants her. I also have to include Tessa Bailey in this list. I mean, if you've read Tessa Bailey, you know that our heroes are just obsessed with their heroines from basically the very first moment that they meet. And yeah, pining and obsession are a little bit different, but I do kind of see obsession as like pining level 100. But I did try to pick the piningest hero that I could think of, and this is actually one of her less popular books. It's Too Beautiful to Break, which is book 4 in her Romancing the Clarkson series, which is actually a series about a group of siblings who go on a road trip together, and each sibling gets their book. And of course, this being the 4th and last book, it's the oldest sibling's romance. Belmont is the oldest, he's the oldest brother, and he is the most tortured hero ever. This man has so much angst, oh my gosh. And his romance with Sage has been teased since the very first book. Like, you could tell how much they wanted each other, how much they longed and pined for each other since book 1. Sage is a friend of one of the girls, and she also goes along with them on this road trip, so there's a lot of good force proximity. Belmont desperately wants Sage, even though he thinks he can't have her. So we go through 3 books worth of so much pining between these two, especially on Belmont's side, until we finally get to their own book in book 4. It's a great series though. I love the whole series concept. I mean, my personal favorite is book 3, but that one doesn't have as much of a pining hero as Belmont, so Too Beautiful to Break is on this list. And then finally, to wrap up this list, I'm ending it with my girl Kennedy Ryan with one of my favorite It's Always Been You heroes. Actually, I have 2 of them, but this first one is Block Shot. I feel like I've talked about this book like a million times this year, but I loved it so much. It's one of my favorites of 2022. It is just so good because of how ruthless the hero is when it comes to the heroine. So Banner and Jared first met in college. They were in the same class and they were actually partnered up for a project. And this is when these two actually started to fall for each other, but nothing really came out of it, especially not after Banner thought that Jared betrayed her. So now as adults, they are these really well-known sports agents. Jared is a total shark, but anytime he is around Banner, he knows she's the one that got away. He's pretty much wanted her and pined in his own asshole way all these years, and now he gets his ultimate chance to have her, even though she has a boyfriend, but he does not give a shit. He just knows that Banner is the one for him and has been since college. So this is obviously one of my all-time favorites from Kennedy Ryan, but I also did read her newest release. I just read it like a couple days ago. It's The Close-Up. It's a novella in her Hollywood Renaissance series about Takira and Naz, and we have another hero who has been wanting the heroine for a long time. Since they were younger, they first met, they only met one night during high school. They have this incredible connection this night, but then everything kind of implodes for them and they don't see each other for about a decade, and now they reunite as adults. He's a professional basketball player, she is a professional stylist for celebrities, and Naz literally tells Takira that he has never stopped thinking about her since that night during high school. And now they get their second chance when they're on this this fancy little yacht for their friend's birthday, and things are just so hot and wonderful for them. This isn't the kind of read, because it's a novella, because it's short, that you can see the actual pining and the longing, but you can definitely feel it. You can feel that missed opportunity, the regret, how much they still want each other even after a decade. Both of them checked each other's social media. They always were like aware of what the other person was doing, succeeding in their life. Takira and Az were just so meant to be together, and I loved their novella. And that is my list of some good pining heroes. I mean, I might have stretched the definition a little bit, but we'll still go with it. Let me know if you have your own recommendations for your favorite pining hero romances. As you can tell, I love reading them. As always, all the books that I mentioned will be down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!